Well, these are the attic stairs, and as you can see, they're somewhat narrow and steep. Again, this stairway was not meant to be accessed on a daily basis, on a continual basis when it was built. The risers are relatively tall, the treads are relatively short, but as I say, the attic is a good-sized attic, and I will use these stairs as they are in order to make or to utilize better the attic space. And one of my goals, as mentioned in a couple of previous videos, was to beef up the floor. So what I've done is I've installed a series of 2x10s and sistered them to the existing old 2x6.5 rafter ties. So these are every 2 feet on center, and they are about 16 feet long from one side to the other. The ends of the 2x10s are not notched. They rest on the wall plates here, so they give quite a boost to the strength of the floor, which will allow me to now lay out the old flooring boards, 3/4 inch tongue and groove, on the new space here, or on the new rafter ties here, and allow me the potential to expand into this space as living space once I take care of insulating the roof. But that's going to be in the future. But while the house framing was essentially open, I wanted to get this done. And in the meantime, if it's not yet living space, the inside temperature here in the attic excuse me, will be the same as the outside temperature, so I'm not worried about any ice damming on the on the roof. But I will be able to get almost a foot of blown-in cellulose insulation in the space, and that'll give me close to R40, a value of R40 for insulation, which should be pretty good. As you can see, I've got a couple of some old planks that are just resting here. These allowed me to walk on top of this while I was installing them. And over there past the chimney, you can see I've put some blocking in because that's the space over the primary bedroom, and there are no walls. So I wanted to make sure I got the blocking in to keep the new rafter ties as stiff as possible. And on this end, where I have 2 bathrooms, I didn't feel the blocking was necessary because I've got a lot of intersecting walls, and the top plates of the walls are nailed to the joists or rafter ties, so that stiffens them up fairly well. And then, of course, when the tongue and groove floorboards get installed on top of the new rafter ties, that'll stiffen up the top side. So again, 2x10 sistered to the 2x6.5 with an overlap sufficient for structural nailing purposes. And then, as I say, I have an effective depth of a 2x12 and a little bit of extra thickness with the old rafter and the new rafter tie sistered together. So one of concern, as I mentioned in the previous video, is that the stairs, I didn't want to move the stairs, because if I came up the stairs, if I moved them over to here, then when you come up the last step, you'd clobber your head on the rafter. So what I did was I went only this far, and then I put down some new decking here for what is effectively a landing. So you'll come up the stairs and you'll stand on the landing, and then you'll make one more step up. And I plan to put a railing over here and do something to identify that there is a step up here, so that people know what's going on and they won't trip and fall on their face. So I do have to get these old floorboards, as you see in the distance over there, where I've stacked everything up, get them spread out here. I'll probably do that today. That's going to be relatively cool in the attic. When I was doing all of this work with the new rafter ties, including in the front section, the temperature here was in the attic on the thermometer was about 110 to 115 degrees, and the humidity was such that within 30 minutes I would have perspired through all of my clothing. So it was very humid, very hot. I had to take a break often, get plenty of water, splash water on my head, cool down, and take a break as needed. So I'm able to tolerate extremes of heat better than I'm able to tolerate extremes of cold as I get older. However, my preference would be for a day like we had yesterday, which was July the 30th, 2023, where it was relatively low humidity, sunny skies, about 80, low 80s for the high temperature, and a very lovely day. I wish we had about 300 more of them here in Maryland, but that's not the case. However, you deal with it, and despite what the media says, while there are people who struggle with extremes of temperature, for the most part, of the 200 some odd million people that are under an extreme heat advisory, or whatever the media calls it, there's probably a few dozen for whom it's a real problem. As they say, if you don't have enough sense to get out of the sun, well, maybe it's too late for you anyway. All right, enough editorial commenting on the climate situation, but as I say, this represented a lot of work. It looks good. It's reliably sturdy. So sometime in the future, I'll consider bedroom back there, bedroom in the front part of the house, potentially a bathroom around the chimney, and then a sitting area here. So this will be a nice space when it gets all finished out. And whether or not I do it, I don't know yet, but at least now the structural components are in so that I can take advantage of the space if I want to. And I'm on the landing, bouncing, sturdy. No creaks, so nothing is loose in this old house. I've been camping here for a month and a half, and at night when it's quiet, I listen to the house, and I don't hear any snaps, I don't hear any creaks, I don't hear any signs or any sounds that the house is settling or bending. Yesterday we had, not last night, the night before, we had some wicked winds go through here, probably sustained winds in the 30s and maybe gusts in the mid 40s to 50. My neighbor's tree gave up a branch, small one. I'm going to cut that up and take it to the dump. And but nothing, no lost shingles, no windows blown in, even though my windows have yet to be restored properly. So it seems to be a sturdy house, and I'm doing nothing but making it sturdier with the addition of this and some new framing in some areas below. So that's it for now, and perhaps in a future video we'll see this with the most of the floor in place.